Today's tip is to make a pissed off playlist. Nothing derails a healthy eating plan like strong emotions. After a long, stressful day, we can often find ourselves in front of the pantry searching for peace at the bottom of a potato chip bag. This is fine once in a while, but when it's done regularly, over time it can add up to weight gain, an unhealthy relationship with food, and to top it off, we've never really dealt with the negative emotions in the first place. So we're probably now stuck in a vicious cycle. In today's episode, I'll be talking about a few ways to manage intense emotions without sabotaging your health. The techniques I will talk about can be powerful tools and strategies to help you cope with distressing thoughts and emotions in the moment. I want to first emphasize that if you're finding it difficult to manage your mental or emotional health, it's so important to seek help. Follow the links in the show notes to access support. You are never alone, and even if it doesn't feel like it right now, things will get better. There is always a light at the end of the tunnel when you keep moving forward. So, how do you manage your stress when things just get crazy? Well, sometimes when my emotions are high, I get in my car, put on what I call my pissed off playlist, and I turn the volume up. The playlist is full of hard rock, heavy metal, and grunge music. And when the volume is up high enough in my car, I can actually feel the beat of the music in my body. Sometimes I sing along, other times I just listen, but either way, I find that after a couple of songs, I've physically released the intense emotions, and I feel better able to manage whatever situation has caused them in the first place. Now, you don't necessarily have to blast Rob Zombie in your car like I do. This stress release technique is one of many grounding strategies that you can incorporate into your life. A grounding strategy is something that brings you out of your head and into your body. It helps to keep you in the present moment and better able to manage overwhelming feelings or intense anxiety. My strategy of listening to music is a type of physical grounding that employs one or more of your 5 senses to help you move through an intense emotion. Other types include putting your hands in water. Focus on the water's temperature and how it feels on your fingertips, palms, and the backs of your hands. Does it feel the same in each part of your hand? Use warm water first, then cold. Next, try cold water first, then warm. Does it feel different to switch from cold to warm water versus warm to cold? Using specific scents is helpful. I often use a diffuser and several different types of essential oils to help with energy, focus, or relaxation. Find a fragrance that appeals to you and evokes a relaxing, calm, or happy feeling. If you're not a fan of essential oils, a cup of tea, an herb or spice, a favorite soap, or a scented candle also works. Inhale the fragrance slowly and deeply and try to note its qualities: sweet, spicy, sharp, citrusy, etc. Moving your body is good. As I've mentioned in many episodes, physical activity is extremely beneficial in managing stress and improving mood. Go for a walk around the block. Do a few stretches or some body weight exercises. Pay attention to how your body feels with each movement and when your hands or feet touch the floor or move through the air. How does the floor feel against your feet or hands? The 5-4-3-2-1 technique is another handy physical grounding tool. Working backwards from 5, use your senses to list things you notice around you. For example, you might start by listing 5 things you hear, then 4 things you see, then 3 things you can touch from where you're sitting, 2 things you can smell, and 1 thing you can taste. This technique is handy and super helpful. My teenagers have actually been taught to use this when they're stressed. And since someone else other than their mom told them about it, they actually do it. If you're in a busy place, it might not be possible or might be a bit embarrassing to use physical grounding techniques. In this case, you could employ a couple of mental grounding techniques. You can count backwards from 100 by 7s. This one takes enough mental energy that it's impossible to ruminate on the thing that's bothering you. Trust me, sometimes I use it if I'm awake in the middle of the night and can't fall back asleep. It's much more helpful to think 100, 93, 86, 79, etc., instead of what I used to do, just lie there trying to solve all the world's problems. Why does everything seem like such a big deal in the middle of the night? Then in the morning you're like, why was I so worried about that? Anyway, I digress. Another mental grounding technique I find helpful when I'm anxious or worried is to use an anchoring phrase. This is something like, today is Friday, August 27th. It's 10:15 in the morning. I'm sitting on my couch in my living room, which is in the back of my house. I can see my backyard. It's sunny out, etc., etc. It gets me out of my head and the worries about the future and into the reality of the current present moment. We cannot eliminate stress, negative events, and intense emotions in our life. It's a part of life and the human experience, and without them, we wouldn't have the perspective of how great joy, happiness, and pleasure is. The key is to learn to manage our emotions and not let our emotions manage us. Instead of turning to food to soothe negative emotions, try to employ one or more of the grounding techniques I described in this episode. Practiced over time, they become an easy go-to habit to get you out of your head and away from anxious and distressing thoughts. Whichever one you choose, once you calm down and your mind stops racing, you are then able to look at the situation more rationally and challenge the thoughts that made you anxious in the first place. Willpower not required. Thanks so much for listening. I'd love to hear from you, so send me your tips, questions, or feedback. You can find me on Facebook and Instagram at Fired Up Fitness Coaching, or email me at willpowernotrequired@firedupfitness.ca. Thanks so much. I look forward to connecting with you.